My wife said in front of everyone, "My ex was a real man." What I did next left everyone in shock. I'm 34. It was one of those calm summer evenings in Denver when the air feels soft, the sky glows light blue, and the smell of barbecue fills every corner of the yard. Music played quietly from a speaker, just loud enough to keep the mood easy without drowning out conversation. I was standing beside the grill with a cold beer in my hand, talking with a few friends. Everyone was relaxed, smiling, joking, sharing stories from the week. My wife, Lauren, was right in the center of it all. She always knew how to fit in, remembering names, asking the right questions, laughing at the perfect moments. For 3 years of marriage, that's what I loved about her. She could make any room feel comfortable. But lately, she felt far away even when she was right beside me. Her phone was always in her hand, her words sharper than before, her eyes often lost somewhere else. I tried to tell myself it would pass, that every relationship had quiet seasons, and this was just ours. Then came that moment. Someone from the group, I think it was Mark, bumped my shoulder and said, "All right, Jake, who's the better cook at home?" I was about to laugh it off, maybe make a joke about burning toast, when Lauren jumped in before I could answer. She laughed loud enough for everyone to hear. "Oh, definitely not Jake," she said, patting my shoulder like I was a kid who tried his best. My ex used to grill like a pro. He was a real man, the kind who could fix anything, handle things, just take charge. The words landed hard. The music kept playing, but the air changed. You could feel it, that shift when everyone realizes something just crossed a line. Someone took a sip of their drink. Someone else looked away. I just smiled because that's what you do when you don't want to make a scene. I lifted my beer, nodded, and changed the topic to football. But inside, something tightened. Not a loud explosion, just a quiet, heavy knot pulling in my chest. It wasn't the comparison that hurt. It was how easily she said it. How real man rolled out of her mouth like a verdict. I felt like I had already lost. Like I was the runner-up in my own marriage. She didn't even notice. She just kept talking, laughing, moving on like nothing happened. But I could feel every eye in that yard shift away from me, trying to pretend they didn't hear what they just heard. When it was time to leave, we said our goodbyes. Mark patted my back and joked, "Next time you're manning the grill." I forced a smile, nodded, and said, "Sure thing." The walk to the car felt longer than it should have. Lauren checked her phone as I opened her door. The drive home was quiet, the kind of silence that doesn't need explaining. Streetlights passed over the windshield in soft lines. She finally looked up and asked, "You okay?" "Yeah," I said. "I'm okay." But I wasn't. That night, when we got home, she went upstairs to wash her face. I sat in the living room with the lights low, thinking about those words. A real man. They echoed over and over, drowning out every laugh, every joke from earlier. I tried to tell myself it was just a slip, a bad joke, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. It was a glimpse of how she really saw me. I didn't yell or confront her that night. I just sat there, listening to the clock tick, the house settle, the silence stretch. For the first time in our marriage, I saw us from the outside. The distance, the lack of respect, the easy criticism. It hadn't happened overnight. Respect doesn't disappear in a day. It fades slowly, one unnoticed moment at a time. And maybe, I realized, I had helped it fade by staying quiet, by trying to keep the peace, by thinking patience could fix what only boundaries could. That's when I decided something had to change. Not her words, not even her opinion. Me. From that moment, I promised myself, no more trying to be the man she wanted. I would start being the man I needed to be. Not through arguments, but through actions. Quiet, steady change. The next morning, I woke up early. The sun had barely risen, casting a soft glow through the blinds. I made coffee and sat on the porch, letting the cool air fill my lungs. For years, I thought patience was love, that if I waited long enough, things would heal. But I realized that patience without boundaries isn't love. It's permission. And I had been giving her permission to treat me however she wanted. That week, I started changing things. Not for her, but for myself. I fixed the broken fence she'd been complaining about for months. I finally tuned the old car she said would never run again. I cleaned the garage, called old friends, signed up for the gym, and took long walks after work. I stopped trying to fill every silence with small talk or win her approval with acts of kindness. I just lived with purpose. Lauren noticed. One evening, she walked into the kitchen while I was fixing a drawer that kept sticking. She leaned against the counter and said, "You're getting a lot done lately." "Yeah," I said simply. "Figured it was time." She smiled lightly. "You seem different." Maybe I should have been different a long time ago. She didn't respond, but I could see the words land. A few days later, she asked if we could host dinner for friends. Maybe she wanted to reconnect. Maybe she just missed the laughter. Either way, I agreed. The night came. The house smelled of roasted chicken and garlic bread. Everyone was relaxed. Laughter filled the room. Then Mark, half-jokingly, said, "Jake's been on fire lately. Fixing everything, hitting the gym, cooking more. What's your secret, man?" I smiled, looked at Lauren, and said calmly, "I just stopped trying to be the man someone wanted me to be, and started being the man I am." The table went quiet for a second. Then Mark raised his glass. "Can't argue with that." Everyone laughed. But Lauren didn't. She just looked at me. Really looked. Like she was seeing someone she had forgotten existed. Later that night, when everyone left, we sat at the table in silence. Finally, she said softly, "I didn't mean to embarrass you that night at Mark's." I nodded slowly. "You didn't just embarrass me, Lauren. You disrespected me. And I let it happen because I thought love meant ignoring pain." She looked down, turning her ring with her thumb. "I was joking." I shook my head. "No, you were comparing. Maybe you didn't mean harm, but that doesn't mean it didn't hurt." She didn't argue. For once, she just listened. And in that quiet moment, I saw something shift in her. The realization that she might have pushed too far. After that night, things changed. She started paying attention again. Putting her phone down, asking about my day, stopping herself before bringing up the past. But I didn't rush to fix anything. I wasn't trying to win her back anymore. I was just living with clarity. A month later, Mark hosted another backyard party. The same crowd, same laughter, same summer air. But this time, it felt different. Lauren stayed close, supportive, quietly kind. When Mark called out, "Jake, you're up. Show us what a real man can do," I grabbed the tongs and smiled. "Guess it's time to show everyone." Everyone laughed. Even Lauren. But this time, there was no edge in her smile. Just respect. On the drive home, she reached over and held my hand. "I'm sorry," she said quietly. "I didn't know how much that night hurt you." I nodded. "I know. But you see me now. That's all I ever wanted. No dramatic music. No grand speech. Just honesty. Because real men don't shout. They don't compare or compete. They just know their worth and refuse to shrink for anyone." That night, when we walked back into our house, it felt different. Not new but real. Because I didn't set out to teach her a lesson. I set out to remember mine. Love without respect isn't love. Patience without boundaries isn't kindness. And being a real man isn't about fixing things. It's about knowing your worth and never letting anyone make you forget it. Thanks for watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button for more stories that hit home.